really take over the game.
And there's the scaling power farmer for PowerOfEvil that we also expect, the Azir late game powerhouse. It's really interesting though, because Cloud9's composition, yes, they do want to take your lunch money with the Nocturne and the Twisted Fate, but then they're going to give that money, kind of hand it off from the earlier game oriented champions to the Ezreal to have that double item power spike with a Yuumi strapped on him. And then the Vladimir counterpick into Shen is a very old counterpick. It has always been about scaling outscaling the Shen in the side lane and having a super free lane for the early stages. Because Shen doesn't really put the pressure on Vladimir that a lot of other champions can put on Vladimir, and then you get this big, massive AoE magic damage team fighter in Vlad that is very effective at diving some of the carries that are prevalent in the meta right now, such as Ashe. So towards the end of the draft, Reaper and Cloud9 have kind of revealed why they didn't have the focus on that low mobility carry. They did have this kind of in mind.
Yeah, and with Twisted Fate, Nocturne, and Vladimir all just being able to show up and dive right into the fight, Ezreal and Yuumi are the perfect pair to try to keep themselves safe on the periphery of the fight, get away from anybody going after them. The mobility and healing and kiting power of those two champions put together should hopefully be able to get Cloud9 away from those situations that they don't want to find themselves in. But, man, you said it. Shen has been popping off so much in LCS. He doesn't seem like he's getting appropriately countered. Is Vlad the secret sauce to making sure that you can't just blind Shen? That will be interesting to see here with Licorice going up against Solo.
Yeah, I mean, the Vladimir definitely scales up to such a scary team fighter, as well as being super powerful in the split push. It makes sure that Shen has to worry about magic damage threat if he's going to match the split push, as well as some armor for the team fights if they're going to try and make that use.
Yeah, Shen is the only real tank on the FlyQuest side, although you were talking about how Lillia likes to go for, Runic Echoes, Liandry's, and then tank from there. That's still going to leave you pretty squishy earlier on in the game until you're able to get some of those tank items online. Puts you in more of a bruiser state instead of a pure giant meatball tank. So if this team falls behind, they're quickly going to find themselves just evaporating under the damage of Cloud9, who, remember, for anybody who might have missed when Kobe said it earlier, Cloud9 in 2020 is 7-0 against FlyQuest. They're not exactly having a close record right about now. But Champ Select is complete and the players loading onto the Rift. It's time for Game 1 of FlyQuest versus C9. Ladies and gentlemen, we are on to Summoner's Rift for the first time today in this best of 5 between Cloud9 and FlyQuest. In case you missed the memo, with the current playoffs format and way that teams are being sent to Worlds, if you win this best of 5 today, you are guaranteed going to Worlds. There is a lot on the line here in this one.
So much. And it's really interesting, too, with the history that these two teams now have. Both players on both sides have come out talking about how difficult it has been. Well, let's take a look at the level 1 versus FlyQuest. Try and collapse on Blaber.
Oh, Blaber saving the skill point early on to make sure that in case he got into trouble, he would be able to use the spell shield, and that saves him from having to use his flash to get away from FlyQuest there. IgNar also using the flash on the Thresh, so it's Cloud9 who comes out on top in that level 1.
Maybe the bottom lane will be a little bit less aggressive than we would think. Ezreal, Yuumi, especially in the early stages. Actually, let's see if they're going to go for a delayed invade here. They do have a sweeper on IgNar, but since he's so far back, they're not going to get any extra value out of it and start up on the Raptor counter jungle.
We've got a Raptor battle here at level 1. Blaber down to 200 HP using the smite. Now has to flash away. Blaber, what are we even fighting for those 4 man? It's chickens! FlyQuest just walks in, they grab themselves a first blood, and now they're going to take the red buff too.
What the heck, Flowers? Well, I guess the preparation here for FlyQuest coming out looking to attack the biggest point of Cloud9 that has been their downfall in the past. That has historically led to Cloud9 winning all of those 7 games versus FlyQuest themselves. They attack the jungle right off the bat, invade on Blaber. Santorin here on the Lillia, able to make use of the AoE, but Blaber, sticking in there, trying to fight for the big chicken. He won the battle, but he lost the war, and Santorin's not done.
They are not stopping anytime soon. Santorin leading the charge. He hits him with the big old W from the Lillia. That's the 2nd kill of the game here for FlyQuest. 2 deaths now on to Blaber. This is a tragedy of a start for the Cloud9 jungler.
Honestly, Flowers, I feel like we're seeing one of these kind of redemption arcs. Cloud9 have bullied FlyQuest all year long, and they've had enough. They're rising up here. Santorin invades WildTurtle and IgNar, as you can see on screen. And Blaber wanted to go for the Smite Steal on the chicken, and because he thought, okay, yeah, Zven is roaming up here with Vulcan on him, but just a clean sweep here for FlyQuest. And then after the invade, Santorin not giving up on it, he calls the level 2 Azir to come help him. And as much as we're talking up in the past, Nisqy has roamed so much for the team, and that has been the big difference maker. This time around, PowerOfEvil going with Santorin to make sure that Santorin can clean up the 2nd kill onto Blaber and counter jungling his blue buff away as well, is going to set themselves up with a huge early game.
Yeah, Santorin with double the farm of his opponent, which I mean isn't. I made that purposely sound more impressive than it is. It's 18-9, so it's like 2 camps worth of jungle difference there. But that's still a very, very promising start for the side of FlyQuest for Santorin on this new champion. This is actually my first game ever casting Lillia. I have never done a Lillia game up until this point, and this champion is actually a prime example. I've had people ask me before, Kobe, they say, hey, as a commentator for LCS, do you have to know the names of every ability in the game, or can you call them like, Lillia W or Lillia E? I looked up the ability names of this champion, and her W's name is Watch Out Eep.
Yeah,
I am
it's a two-parter.
I am not calling it that. I am calling it Lillia W because if I have to yell Eep on the LCS, I don't think I'll ever recover from it.
Fair enough. You don't have to do that. I won't call you on it.
All right, I appreciate you being on my side.
One big thing about it, no matter what you're going to call it, is the sweet spot damage, which we saw him get, out of the vision advantage that they had. IgNar being on screen, though, let's get into some of the table setting that we wanted to get in for this matchup before we had so much great early action because of the preparation that FlyQuest did. Coming into it, so much focus on the jungle and mid duo because that has determined a lot of the previous games. But these 2 supports are actually the 2 supports with some of the most different stats. IgNar roams the most out of all supports from the LCS, and Vulcan roams the least. He has the most time spent pre-15 minutes with his AD carry with Zven. That's not going to change at all with Yuumi. That time spent with your AD carry just goes through the roof when you're Yuumi. And we already saw here IgNar getting off a roam towards mid. So FlyQuest showing to be very flexible between their lanes already. And I think fluid lanes versus Cloud9 is very important when you can take and transfer some of your aggression and your momentum to help out the rest of your teammates.
Right, especially when you look at what made Cloud9 so successful, particularly back in spring and in the first half of summer when there was just nobody in the same ballpark as them. What made them so impressive was how they worked as a team, how everybody was always just working together and making these plays that no other team in North America would. It was one giant brain all playing the same 5 champions, it felt like. So these guys knowing how to work together like that just gave them that huge edge. And FlyQuest being able to respond and play as a team and move as a unit and have that fluidity you're talking about shows great signs of promise for them being able to match C9 in a best of 5. Because as we've already said, the last time they met C9 in a best of 5, it was a 3-0 for the Spring Split Championship.
And it very much is a domino effect. You know, starting with the level win invade, the bottom lane for FlyQuest supporting Santorin in his efforts at the chickens. Yes, it turned out even better than they had hoped because Blaber was pretty greedy and went for the chicken steal and died even after flashing out. So that's the 100% best possible scenario. But now you keep pushing it forward. Because it opens up the rest of the members to roam. You see IgNar going mid to help out PowerOfEvil after he helped out Santorin, but now there's a level 6 Shen, Stand United at the ready. And again, this Vladimir matchup into Shen is more about the later stages early on. Vladimir with the longer cooldown on Q, you can't punish the Shen or deal significant real damage at all. And it is about the later stages. Early on, Shen Stand United could be a big determining factor, especially towards bottom side.
Okay, Lillia's showing up down here. So is Azir. Nice job there on the ultimate as Zven is towered over by 4 people on FlyQuest. They sent the whole crew down to bottom lane.
PowerOfEvil on the Azir. Once again, pushes up. When was the last time you saw Azir get off 2 meaningful roams before Twisted Fate got off anything cross-map, Captain Flowers? PowerOfEvil goes for the secondary invade with Santorin, and now with the bottom lane play, it is actually the Twisted Fate here trying to take down tower plates, trying to punish the Azir for him roaming. Cloud9 need to make use of their globals now. They need to make use of them quickly to try and stop this snowball that FlyQuest have created. 1 turret plate has gone over for Nisqy, trying to push in after PowerOfEvil's roams.
Well, Blaber only just recently hit level 6. Santorin actually hit 6 before Blaber hit 5 because of the early advantages in the jungle. So now with that Nocturne ult ready to go, we'll see if Blaber can manage to get online, get himself on the scoreboard somewhere. Usually when you look at a Nocturne game, you look at how successful is the first ult or two. Because the cooldown is so long, Nocturne players have to make sure they're seeing value from those ultimate usages, especially in a game where you're already behind like Blaber is. These ults need to make money for Cloud9.
All right. Thankfully for Cloud9, though, we can further explain some of the reasons why you double up on globals. It's not just, oh, haha, yeah, we have 2 globals, you only have 1. But the reason that you layer Nocturne on other global sources when you're facing, things like Shen, is that when Nocturne turns on the Paranoia and the map goes dark for the Shen, then the Shen, unless he had pre-teleported, pre-Stand United, won't be able to answer as quickly. And you get to basically further enhance your Twisted Fate global by kind of cutting off the resources for your opponents and the reinforcements for your opponents. So you generally do want to have a power play where you use both at the same time.
FlyQuest contesting this Rift Herald, stealing it away. Blaber tries to escape, but here comes Lillia with the sleep. Over the wall, Cloud9's jungler remains alive, but no longer Kobe. It's PowerOfEvil grabbing himself his first kill of the game, getting FlyQuest their number 4. IgNar goes for the flash into the death sentence, but will not find it onto Nisqy. I like the attempt, but man, FlyQuest is just doing everything in the jungle this game. You saw Cloud9 try to go for the Herald. They lose that as well. Santorin's just farming up 2 camps at once because Lillia can do that. Easy peasy, 1, 2, 3.
And the fact that FlyQuest also, get the last hit on this Rift Herald steal and Santorin's able to pick it up, just further snowballs it. Here goes Twisted Fate.
Lillia could be in a little bit of trouble, but Santorin is immediately turning things right back around onto Nisqy. Santorin down to 300 HP. Remember, Blaber has no ulti for this. He's going to be taken very, very low, and there go the soldiers. There's a 1-for-1. IgNar's still here in the fight. That's going to skew it in favor of FlyQuest here yet again. This Azir is 3-0-2 at 11 minutes.
Because FlyQuest used a defensive Nocturne ultimate trying to run away from their Rift Herald that they started up. They then only had the single global there, the Twisted Fate, to go in, and Nisqy does answer. Shen, Stand United, gets forced out by a Twisted Fate ultimate, but once they force, the discrepancy in support roams that we were talking about finally does come in as well. So Stand United protects Santorin initially from Nisqy. Good dodge there from Nisqy to get away from the taunt and the watch out Eep combination from Santorin on the big burst damage. But since Blaber commits to try and get that kill for them, PowerOfEvil sweeps them right up on the Azir. And support roam difference here because one support is playing Yuumi and permanently attached there down to the Ezreal on the bottom side. IgNar got off another timing. Swifty boots rush for him. This has been something that has emerged since that last nerf to mobility boots, since they got an increase in the cost of them. I actually really enjoy buying Swifty boots because you get to keep that movement speed in combat, and a lot of supports have kind of given up on the mobility boot dream with it being more expensive, although you get definitely less movement speed out of combat.
Well, the second Drake of the game has gone over to FlyQuest. They're still commanding themselves a 2,000 gold lead here at 12 minutes. If they keep controlling the game like this, they could get that Cloud Soul nice and early. Cloud Soul is one of those that is more useful on some champions than others. It's kind of the most situational of the souls, at least from what I've from everybody else's opinions. Lillia, though, is a champion that could make a lot of use of that. She loves just being able to run around in a circle, go faster than a bat out of hell, and honestly, having a Cloud Soul working there for her will just help enable her to kite around these fights and just run around and stack up those spells over and over and over again.
Yeah.
You can see continued control over the neutral territory here in the river.
It's also pretty comical when you see things like, Azir Shurima shuffles, and then PowerOfEvil has got this big boost of move speed right after he goes in for the shuffle, and you get the little bird walk around in the fight. But honestly, FlyQuest should be able to continue snowballing really easily if you just burn down the first couple turret plates here. Everybody trying to power through number 3, but since there's so many members grouped up, it gets a lot of extra armor and magic resistance. Rift Herald cut right through it, and they finish off the last one. No problem.
They take it down. PowerOfEvil immediately summons up a replacement turret under FlyQuest colors, and Shelly will even get off the second charge onto the tier 2 mid lane turret, taking over half the HP off of that one too. Cloud9 in a real rough spot. Solo going for the taunt onto Licorice, gets him underneath the turret, and takes 75% of his health there.
Yeah, pretty good use of that, but fake Nocturne.
Nice dogpile coming in from Cloud9 to make it so Solo ends up getting punished underneath the turret. He's going to lose out on a couple waves of minions here, and with turret plating now falling, Cloud9 can easily respond, make it 1-for-1 in that turret count.
Those are the types of plays that you're looking for with Nocturne Twisted Fate combination. They do go right and attack the Shen itself, taking down that top tower and getting some gold back for themselves. They need to bridge this gap while Zven here on Ezreal is still trying to transform into Muramana and work his way towards his Sheen item, which looks like it's going to be the Trinity Force. Higher damage, doesn't need as much the extra armor. And honestly, I do like Iceborne's kiting versus Lillia, but since there is a lot of magic damage on FlyQuest, you're not getting as much value out of the armor, and Trinity Force definitely is more damage, significant damage, and it's going to be a lot on him and Licorice towards the later stages, trying to do a lot of the carrying for Cloud9.
And talking about itemization, since we're on the subject already, I do want to point out PowerOfEvil with a very early QSS. He's making sure to itemize into this safety with his lead, make it so they don't lose a team fight off of him just getting gold carded and collapsed on and blown up. As Nisqy setting up the CC onto Solo here in the bottom lane, Blaber's trying to follow up on this one, but Solo manages to get enough distance in time and walk away.
And on the top side, meanwhile, with their strong side of the map here, FlyQuest will answer and get that top side turret back for themselves, keeping their gold lead. Now with 1 minute and 30 seconds left on the Dragon timer, they have plenty of time to transition their vision back over to the bottom half of the map so they continue Dragon stacking towards that Cloud Soul. As he said, it's not the most powerful Cloud Soul, but still does have its use cases here, as Shen and Azir can definitely both use it when they ult to go in.
Lillia working towards that Liandry's too. You can see about halfway done here with haunting guys in the inventory. So Santorin will continue to be a problem here on this champion, picking up now the second Rift Herald of the game for FlyQuest. They don't even have to steal it from Cloud9 this time. Easy stuff here in the top half of the river with that collected. 45 seconds until the Drake spawns. When the Drake's about to spawn and you've got Rift Herald in your pocket, you can use that Rift Herald as a distraction if you want to afford yourself more Drake control And remember that with those first two already under their possession, it means FlyQuest can put themselves at Soul Point here with just one more pickup, forcing Cloud9 to answer every Drake after the fact or just give away that Soul.
And if you look at the setup for it, it should be kind of easy for FlyQuest since they've taken down the mid turret. PowerOfEvil, 30 seconds ahead of time, pushes that minion wave. He has teleport ready, so as IgNar and Santorin move over to get their control wards down in preparation for the arrival of the dragon, he gets off his base, teleports right back with the extra mask here in inventory, trying to keep with maximum power so that there's no possible way for Cloud9 to fight them on this. And honestly, Cloud9 still have a lot of timers to wait on. They're waiting on Trinity Force completion for Ezreal. He finally now does get his Muramana transformation, but they would not want to fight third dragon here. They kind of have to hold off until it's actually soul fight, or even give up the soul in favor of something like Baron control, because they simply don't have the spikes to actually fight off FlyQuest at the moment.
Yep, third Drake secured for free by the side of FlyQuest. Turtle and IgNar rotating up there just to make sure Santorin didn't run into any trouble. Solo will be grabbing his own red buff. Santorin on Lillia doesn't really need it that much. Licorice will move over to contest this. The level 12 Vlad against the level 11 Shen. Vlad's feeling pretty all right in that matchup. We'll use the transfusion to make sure he gets the last hit and walks away with the red buff there from the enemy jungle.
Yeah, now is the stage where Vladimir really starts ramping into becoming a problem. So if we continue to watch Licorice's side lane play, he actually does have a pretty big advantage since he's got the favorable matchup here with the scaled Vladimir. Now that he's got a bunch of levels in the champion, but also with the Nocturne Twisted Fate obviously on top of it. Cloud9 are well situated to attack the split push from FlyQuest if they do try and answer. So it's been a really good opening for FlyQuest. Now it's going to be interesting trying to keep track of, can they actually deal with Cloud9's mid-game map control, as Ezreal here, I believe if he channels the recall, then that means he has enough money for his Trinity Force. Cancels it here, so maybe he's looking to farm up a little bit more for his last component.
Yep, items are coming online across the board. You can see Titanic Hydra just was completed there for Solo. Liandry's Torment now completed for Santorin's Lillia as well. 2 items on Turtle's Ashe. Has both the Hurricane and the Blade of the Ruined King ready to go, so a lot of teamfight DPS potential there on the FlyQuest 80 carry. Oh no, Blaber. Is this going to be number 5? Clearing out the ward. Goes the Duskbringer and just, oh no, the chain CC is there. He goes into the stopwatch trying to stay alive. Flash away into a defensive paranoia. Licorice looking to turn things around, and they've got the kill onto Santorin here to start things off. Licorice getting himself away. Yuumi ult going to keep FlyQuest at bay, but the Sand Soldiers will continue seeking more damage. Cloud9 turn this into a good play for themselves. It's FlyQuest who bite off more than they can chew, and Santorin will pay the price.
Yeah, the Yuumi and the Vladimir. Guess what, Flowers? I'm not seeing any executioners or healing cutting yet on the side of FlyQuest. That is a mandate here. You pass 20 minutes and you don't have healing reduction versus the team with Yuumi and Vladimir. That's something that you're going to need to correct very quickly, whether it is Morellonomicon or the Executioner's Calling. Somebody needs to get something quick, and since Executioner's Calling is a lot quicker, that would definitely be the advice. So it's going to be on WildTurtle to pick that up for FlyQuest if they want to be able to secure some of those kills versus these champions that do have so much healing in their kits. In the meantime, now Trinity Force hit for Ezreal. So Zven is at the Muramana Trinity Force spike. They've got Lichbane already here on Nisqy for his split pushing, and they can continue to try and use the threat of Nocturne Paranoia in their attempts to split the map. Vladimir will now take over versus Shen in the side lanes. He can just continue AoE push, spam out his abilities. And once he builds up through Liandry's too, it just becomes so difficult for the Shen. Plus, as we already saw, great team fight presence as well.
Yeah, Shen's got a hoodie in terms of magic resistance. That's not going to do a lot against a Vladimir.
If I can't see the Vladimir, then it can't do it.
It's not the best situation, but as time marches forward, we will see PowerOfEvil manage to use that second Rift Herald there to help him take down the Tier 2 turret in the top lane. It is a 4 turrets to 1 game here for FlyQuest, who have honestly just been racking up the objectives constantly in this first match, and it's under 1 minute until that Drake spawns. This is Cloud's soul if FlyQuest get it.
And just, we have a few seconds now to look back at how they got here. It was all about FlyQuest's preparation coming into this map. You know, coming out with the level 1 delayed invade, getting the early kill onto Blaber, and then Santorin recognizing and calling over PowerOfEvil to keep up that invade. And the mobility here for the team, for FlyQuest, that's what caused them to rack up this immense dragon control that's setting themselves up for the very early soul here. Only 22 minutes in. They've got full vision control set up over the area, so trying to force Cloud9 you know, to come to them and not allowing Cloud9 to use some of their greatest strengths with this composition.
Interesting second item purchase here from Blaber. Goes for the Guardian Angel. First item after Warrior. Not the most common thing to see. Usually Guardian Angel's a third item at the earliest type of purchase, but Blaber, recognizing that FlyQuest is really trying to focus him pretty hard this game, also wants to be able to jump in there with the paranoia and not just immediately get killed. Speaking of which, the ulti is cast. Redemption coming down now. Cloud9 going in. Blaber looking to start things off. PowerOfEvil getting himself away. Volley going to be fired off. Blaber's already into the grave. Licorice is down. It's a 1-for-1 trade as Blaber respawns, only to find himself right back in the dirt. Solo goes for the taunt flash, and he will find his mark. Zven tries to get away, but PowerOfEvil's got a double kill. Ezreal's heading for the hills, but they're the wrong hills. He's running back towards the base of FlyQuest. Solo continues the chase. PowerOfEvil and WildTurtle following up behind. But Zven has been able to kite away from this successfully so far. He goes up the wall. He tries to make the Chad play, but it's just a bad play. And FlyQuest will find themselves an ace and a Cloud Soul.
Cloud Soul Plus, that should be a Baron for them, Captain Flowers, because they win the entire fight. That is 5 members down for Cloud9. Despite buying the Guardian Angel for the next fight, power for the soul fight there for Blaber, Cloud9 moves out, diving into FlyQuest. Turtle had picked up the Executioner's Calling. He annihilated Licorice in the attempted dive there, and once they take out the heart of the team fight, no Vladimir, they're able to chase everyone down. Even Ezreal Yuumi unable to escape off the backside. All right, so looking at it again, the dive in, Twisted Fate ultimate use, Vladimir teleport for the extra speed, attempting on the flank, and they go in at the same time. You see the pre-redemption, just to make sure they get a little bit of the extra healing. Vladimir goes in, pool is used. As soon as he comes out of pool, look at Turtle, boom, waits for him to stop, hits him with the arrow, and they just take down Licorice very, very quickly. Santorin as well, being able to escape out the back there, not giving up that extra kill, is huge because they don't get any Triumph heals. Nobody gets anything off of that side for Cloud9, allowing PowerOfEvil to go right back in, sweeps him through with the Azir, and then, as you know, chasing him onto the other side of the map. Zven, nowhere really to go. He decides to take his shot. He saw the angle, went for the attempted kill there onto PowerOfEvil, went for the snipe, but Mystic Shot goes wide, and Azir lives another day.
And now, man, now FlyQuest is all wearing purple. This team is pushing down the mid lane. They're ready to go. You can see the damage chart in the last team fight. Ezreal's looking pretty good. Vlad did okay, but not a lot of damage coming out from the rest of the squad, and it was FlyQuest coming out on top. They've now taken down all 6 turrets outside of the Cloud9 base. It's time to pressure onto the inhib turret lines themselves. This is where a lot of teams do find themselves sort of hitting a wall. Hard to push through that when your opponents are able to defend it very well. You can see Cloud9 mounting that defense here in the bottom lane. But FlyQuest will apply pressure to 2 different lanes at once. They have the Azir turret to fall back to here, raised on the corpse of the tier 2 turret in mid. Still another minute remaining on your Red Bull Baron buff for FlyQuest to try to push with. Doesn't look like they're going to be able to crack anything with it just yet.
Yeah, I mean, that fight may have been at the site of the Dragon Soul, but the Dragon Soul is actually the least of the rewards that FlyQuest get for it. The biggest rewards are all the gold for the 5 kills they got and the Baron that they got afterwards. Here's the attempt from Cloud9.
Blaber's going in after PowerOfEvil, but the Stand United will show up to make sure that he's kept alive. Yuumi ulti also goes through. Licorice going in now, dropping down that ulti, but PowerOfEvil is going to be pulled to safety, barely going to be kept alive. Turtle goes on a rampage, and Blaber goes right back into the fountain yet again, like it or not. Santorin making sure that he's in the middle of these fights here on the Lillia, stirring up all kinds of trouble with those blooming blows. That one is a fun name to say. I do enjoy that. But man, what's not fun right now is Cloud9's state on the map. They have lost 2 inhibitor turrets. Inhibitors are now vulnerable with FlyQuest pushing up. Things are going from bad to worse, my friend.
Yeah, Santorin making a really good case for himself here. I know there's so much discussion about first team all-pro jungler from the regular split. And this time around, you know, number 2 versus number 1 with such a dominating team performance here, looking very good. Just the coordination that FlyQuest have shown in this series, you know, shows how much work they've put into trying to face Cloud9, because again, we keep on stating that history between these two teams this year has been overwhelmingly on the side of Cloud9, even from the mouths of the players themselves. After their last series, Solo said he thought that Cloud9 were the best team in the LCS. So clearly, they put in the extra work to try and attack, you know, one of their biggest downfalls.
Well, the scoreboard just lit up all over with FlyQuest itemization completions coming in for pretty much everyone.
It's a
and
shopping
we're not
spree.
talking small stuff, my friend. We're talking Rabadon's Death Cap for the Azir, Death's Dance on the Ashe, Zhonya's Hourglass for the Lillia. Everybody's completing these big ticket items on the FlyQuest side. They're up 8,000 gold. Azir now has Liandry's, Rabadon's, and Nashor's Tooth. He can eviscerate any health bar that comes near him from the Cloud9 side. Cloud9 has no true tank on their roster. They've got a Vlad who can buy himself time by going into a pool. They've got a Nocturne who has a GA, I guess. But there's nobody on this team who survives standing in those Sand Soldiers and eating the auto attacks from Turtle at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, FlyQuest just with the overwhelming item advantage due to the giant gold lead they have. And if you look at Turtle's build, even the Ashe, one of the few points on the team that Cloud9 would try and dive and try and attack. He's got the Death Dance in addition, you know, to all of the healing that he's going to get just from standing and autoing with Bork, Death Dance, and the Hurricane. Basically is trying to lifesteal tank with the extra safety of, you know, shields from Shen and Thresh. Cloud9, they've got to, you know, pick their moment very wisely here as PowerOfEvil, while he's on the front, he does have that QSS that you mentioned. Arrow does land.
Paranoia used defensively to make sure FlyQuest don't follow up on that potential pick. And now the fight's breaking out. It's Blaber looking to go for PowerOfEvil here yet again. But Solo is right there protecting his ally as Turtle's able to deal with Licorice. The fight has split into 2 halves. FlyQuest have managed to kill off the enemy top laner, and PowerOfEvil with 3 auto attacks kills Blaber yet again. IgNar showing up with the shields to keep his mid laner alive. Try as they might, Cloud9 will never kill PowerOfEvil, and FlyQuest will run down the remaining players on the Cloud9 side. They'll smack the Ezreal, they'll bop that loop pinata Yuumi that popped on out of them, and now they're marching towards the Nexus turrets. FlyQuest in 30 minutes will put all of that 7-0 this year talk to rest. They will win their first game of the year against Cloud9, and they will start this series off 1-0.
Let it be known